for a guy who has the length, he has the power, he has the motor, that's where I think you can see a lot of value, is more on that interior of the defensive line.
Let's talk about Logan Hall, defensive lineman from Houston. He's a challenging eval, Joe, because he plays some defensive end. He plays inside from time to time. We got a chance to see him at the Senior Bowl. But I don't know that he was necessarily somebody that we got any additional clarity on where you'd like him best while he was at the Senior Bowl.
Yeah, I was hoping he would dominate at the Senior Bowl, but I thought he had some high-level moments, but for the most part, he kind of blended in. And you go back to thinking about him at Houston, and he played all up and down the line of scrimmage, like you mentioned, and a lot of times, like literally playing on the inside, playing over the center, that type of stuff, in addition to occasionally playing on the outside. And I think the concern is, if you play on the outside at the next level, does this guy really have the flexibility necessary to corner the outside edge track? I think there's some concerns there, and you bring him to the inside, and does he have the length and the mass that you're looking for in that type of a role? So the team that drafts him needs to have a plan for him. He's definitely got some ability. He's got a hot motor. He's a player that, when he was asked to penetrate and shoot gaps, I really liked what he saw, but you got to kind of figure out what the right spot to put him in is to maximize his potential, because he made a lot of plays for Houston, big-time leader within the program, but he's got some things to sort out at the next level for the team that drafts him to be able to maximize his talent.
So we got him right here on this rail between our edge group and our interior defensive line group. 6'0", 283, 32 3/4, 4.88 verified on the 40, guys. So where do we sit on this whole positional debate as it pertains to Logan Hall?
Combo. You think about it as a 4-3 in on rundowns, where you play him at that end, set the edge, turn those running backs back into the help of the defense, back into the teeth of the defense. Then, because of the issues that Joe listed in terms of being able to turn the corner as a pass rusher, you kick him inside into that single gap penetrator, allow him to use his quickness, his kind of heavy hands, and his length to get into those gaps and create quick pressure. That is the quickest way to the quarterback.
I think he's your prototypical 5 technique in a hot front. I think that's really where teams will see a lot of value in him, because he has that length, he has those heavy hands, he's able to set the edge and be firm at the point of attack, where he can kind of two-gap and do a lot of things and free up your linebackers. And so, is he going to be a double-digit sack guy? Probably not. That's not his game. But for a guy who has the length, he has the power, he has the motor, that's where I think you can see a lot of value, is more on that interior of the defensive line.
I think the teams will certainly value his ability to move both inside and out, but I do think this is a guy that's an ideal fit in a 3-4 at end. He'd have to gain probably 30 pounds, but this is certainly someone who I think once he learns to play with much improved pad level, can really thrive on the inside.
Yeah, when I think about him, I think about all the different answers we got, right? Like, we got a bunch of different answers to what this player can play, and I think that's his profile, and I think that's part of the disappointment from the Senior Bowl with me. I would have really liked for this guy to really take control and him kind of dictate to me where he's going to play, right? Like, and I can have a clear picture of this player plays here. But I think after the Senior Bowl, I'm still lost, right? I agree with all these guys because I don't know either. Like, he can play anywhere, and it'll be interesting to see what team drafts him and where they decide to start him. Because when you look at his I guess his sheet, right? When you look at 6'6", 260 pounds, it's like, man, we can really work with that. He's a really good athlete, but it's where do you play him? So it's really tough when you think about it from that standpoint.
So this whole scouting process is about answering a couple of questions, right? And for teams, it's like we're looking for disqualifiers on why we can invest. We're not comfortable investing on you being somebody that we bring into our building. From our perspective of things, we try to tell the story of what players can do, right? And I don't think you can necessarily tell the story of what Logan Hall can do unless you acknowledge some physical limitations that I think serve as eliminating certain landing spots for him. And I think one thing for him that popped to me, Dre mentioned the pad level, right? And I think that kind of rigidness exists in his frame, not just vertically, but also as far as his ability to bend laterally and reduce angles by playing with a high level of flexibility to turn corners at tight angles with consistency. You see that rotational core tightness that I think is going to make him, for me, be somebody who I want playing the point of attack. I want him somebody who is in more of a gap control type of role. Is that a super sexy role like Brentley said? No, not particularly. He's probably not going to be a guy who's getting in the backfield and rolling up sacks unless he goes into an offense that has a lot, or a defense that has a lot of complementary pieces around him that manufacture some one-on-ones, and you let him play in those situational games. Whether or not he gets there, I'm not sure. But if you're asking me where my floor is for him, it's to be that 4-3 end or that 3-4 end that's going to play over top of the tackle or slightly reduced inside. We need to put a little mass on him. We need to make sure he's really disciplined about not giving up so much of his chest. Don't worry about trying to go create chaos based on where I think you physically are going to profile best. Get very comfortable with winning the point of attack, controlling that gap, and allowing the players around you to be the ones who are going to make those dynamic plays. And then when your opportunities come, then you can take advantage of it. But Logan Hall, we didn't disappoint. I was like, I wonder how many answers we'll get. And we got about 18 across 6 guys. So I think that paints the picture perfectly for Logan Hall.